All right, so welcome to the Head Couch Analyst Show. I am your host, Sanders, and Pardu's not joining me today, obviously. I'm the only one in this image. You might be wondering to yourself, okay, why isn't this a podcast? And why is this a video? I wanted to do this because there is a certain topic that I wanted to cover, and we'll probably talk about it more in depth when we have Pardu back on the show. But I needed to get this out there because there's a lot of people out there who I think are an issue with the current status of the NFL fan base, and it has to do with quarterbacks. So before I start on like what the whole video is about, let me tell you what started the idea for this video, and it started a couple months ago, back in like April or March. I saw a Twitter thread talking about Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray. Now that doesn't seem like it would go anywhere bad because both Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield are likable quarterbacks. I think Kyler Murray is much more likable than Baker Mayfield, but that's just because Baker Mayfield has been a little bit of a controversial background when it comes to the police thing in college, and then how harsh he was his rookie year, and how like much of a jerk he was in his sophomore year. But last year he like put his foot in his mouth. He was really humble. He still had Baker Mayfield like quotes. There are some interviews that I really liked that he did last year when he was very sarcastic with interviewers. But for the most part, Baker Mayfield has become much more likable within the last 14 months. Not just because of his better play, but also because he's just become a much better person, and he knows how to act around a camera now. But there was a Browns fan who said that Kyler Murray was not even in the realm of Baker Mayfield, and that Kyler Murray was like a ranked 17 quarterback. So two things blew my mind when I read this thread. The first thing was stating that Baker Mayfield is not in the realm of Kyler Murray, which is not true. They're pretty close to each other in terms of talent, potential, and where they're going in their careers. Second thing, why did you say Kyler Murray was ranked 16? I understand some of his stats were like 14th or 15th of all quarterbacks, but did you watch Cardinals games? Did you watch how good Kyler Murray was? Now, I understand in the last 7 games, Kyler Murray was nowhere near as good as he was in the first half of the season, but regardless, I could chalk that up to injury, right? He had a shoulder injury, and then after that shoulder injury, he just didn't look like he did in the first 9 games. In a fully healthy season, damn. I'm pretty sure Kyler Murray would be in the top 10 conversation right now, even though he's not. But this thread got really hateful. It started trashing on Kyler Murray for no reason. It started trashing on Baker Mayfield for no reason. And it went into like name calling, and it went into these, well, you're dumb if you think Kyler Murray could even be a top 10 quarterback. Well, you're dumb if you think Baker Mayfield could ever be in the top 5 conversation. And it's like, both those things are very possible. I just didn't understand like where this came from. And then this also got me thinking about how back in December and January, I saw a lot of hate for Aaron Rodgers. People are talking about how like, well, if he's got a number 1 wide receiver and he's got a great running back and he's got a good defense, why can't he win the Super Bowl? Blah, 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 blah. It's a team game, and coaching decisions matter. Like what happened at the end of the 2 minutes of that NFC Championship game. Or people are calling Mahomes a fraud. This is like literally the best start we've ever seen to a young quarterback. Literally better than Lamar Jackson. Better than, Peyton Manning had a horrible start. Tom Brady didn't have that great of a start. I mean, he won a Super Bowl, but he was just a game manager around that time. Like, we've never seen a start like this to a quarterback, and people just choose hatred. I remember a time when everybody loved Patrick Mahomes. It was a wonderful time in the NFL. We all agreed it was fun to watch. But the second he, was in contention for a Super Bowl, and pretty much around the time that he won the Super Bowl, forget it. Everyone wanted to start hating him, calling him a fraud, calling him fake, and it's dumb, right? We're hating on elite level quarterbacks because they're winning? Like, for example, we hate Tom Brady, and I get it. He's won 7 Super Bowls. I understand. Most of you are sick of seeing him in the Super Bowl. I get it. As a Ravens fan who had him in my conference for 15 plus years, I get it. However, there's something to be said for watching greatness and appreciating greatness. I stopped hating Tom Brady around 2015 because once I saw that Falcons Super Bowl comeback, I realized as a football fan, not as a Ravens fan, but as a football fan, I'll never get to see that again. I will never ever see that kind of comeback by a quarterback in a Super Bowl ever again. Now, there were factors when it came to like the Falcons' play calling. They should have ran the ball. They shouldn't have thrown it. Matt Ryan took a sack. Whatever, right? I understand like 50 things had to happen in a row for them to win that Super Bowl, and all 50 of those things happened. But regardless, that doesn't take away from the efforts of Tom Brady. And when you look at Aaron Rodgers' career as a whole, him not winning a second Super Bowl, which, by the way, is extremely hard to do. Name the amount of quarterbacks that have won 2 or more Super Bowls. There's not many out there. It's a very small percentage of all quarterbacks that have existed in the NFL. He has had a phenomenal career. We consider Dan Marino to be top 10 all time, and he never won a Super Bowl. We don't hate that guy, right? It's also probably because online didn't exist back then. But we don't hate Dan Marino, right? So why are we hating on Aaron Rodgers when he has a Super Bowl title and is still playing as like a top 2, top 3 quarterback almost yearly? And then, again, the whole thing with Patrick Mahomes doesn't make sense to me. Literally the greatest start to a young man's career ever, and we're trashing on him after he wins the Super Bowl. Makes no sense. So let's get to the lower tiers of quarterbacks and what this whole video is about. It's about quarterback hate, and I want to address quarterback hate. Okay, I kind of already addressed the elites, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, etc., 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 right? Let's talk about the borderline elite quarterbacks, the quarterbacks who like aren't elite yet and they could be in the future, and the hate that they get because like they're not elite, but we don't want to give them credit for being almost elite. This is like the Russell Wilsons, the Deshaun Watsons, the Lamar Jacksons, the Josh Allens of the world. These are all quarterbacks who have done stuff for their franchises that we've never seen. Lamar Jackson is a completely unique quarterback who has made the running quarterback work. He is doing stuff better than Michael Vick could have ever dreamed of, right? Now, maybe Michael Vick would have been better if a team had committed to his playing style like the Ravens have committed to Lamar Jackson, but I digress. Josh Allen, oh my goodness. Year 3 was the biggest jump for him that we could have ever seen, and I loved watching him, and we have people discrediting him. I understand. As a neutral analyst, yes, it was 1 year, and me personally, I would like to see him do it again, right? So I'm not going to call him elite because I would like to see him do it again. But I'm also not going to sit here and discredit the whole year he had. I'm not going to discredit the fact that they got a number 1 receiver. Everybody needs a number 1 receiver. I'm sorry. Like, we saw Tom Brady go from a bad Patriots squad that he took to 11-5 to an actual football squad with the Buccaneers, and he won the Super Bowl, right? Like, quarterbacks need help. So the fact that the Bills gave Josh Allen his help with Stephon Diggs, I don't put that any discredit. They basically said this is what Josh Allen's strengths are. Stephon Diggs fits this. It's a perfect marriage. Boom, AFC Championship appearance. And he had an MVP type of season. It's perfectly fine. The Browns have done the same thing with Baker Mayfield, who's probably not borderline elite, but when I'm talking about him, I mean like they put a system around him. They're like, all right, we need a running system around Baker, and we need to give put receivers around him that are possession receivers and have good hands, right? Because Baker's not going to always throw it on the dot, which is totally fine, right? Baker Mayfield is a great quarterback. I love watching him play. And the fact that they decided, okay, we're going to have this tight end running back with like these possession receiver system is fantastic. That's why I loved the Kevin Stefanski hire back when they hired him, because I knew it would be perfect for Baker. And it's okay to do that with your quarterbacks. The Ravens have done it with Lamar Jackson. Let's talk about Lamar Jackson. They decided he's a running quarterback. We're just going to put a running game around it. We're going to do a running game. We're going to do a tight end set to have possession tight ends, and that's how we're going to make it work, right? And that's what they've done for the last 3 years, and the Ravens offense have had the highest scoring offense for the last 3 years in a row. It's been amazing what they have done. Unreal how they were able to take this running mentality in a passing era. It's amazing. Right now, obviously, they still have their issues, just like the Browns have their issues and the Bills have their issues. Regardless, though, that doesn't take away from what Lamar Jackson has done. Now, let's talk about the 2 quarterbacks that Lamar Jackson gets a lot of hate. Baker Mayfield gets a lot of unnecessary hate, and so is Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. But the 2 quarterbacks that I think I've seen personally get the most hate, and I'm saying this as a Ravens fan, I think Kyler Murray and Dak Prescott get the most hate for I don't know what reason. Kyler Murray was on a really bad squad for the last 2 years. You guys have to understand he was drafted by arguably one of the worst teams the Cardinals have ever had. And put into context, worst team Cardinals have ever had when the Cardinals have been a bad franchise for years. They had their Super Bowl appearance in 2008. They had the 3 years with Carson Palmer where they were really good with Bruce Arians. Outside of that, tell me when in the last 20 years the Cardinals have really been relevant. The answer is no, they haven't been. And this is me talking as someone who's lived in Arizona. And we're much more of a Suns state right now than we are a Cardinals state. But that's because the Suns have had winning basketball in the last 20 years. They've made the conference finals twice now, once this year and once 10 years ago. And even then in the 2000s with Steve Nash, they were relevant. The Cardinals just have never been consistently relevant. So you throw Kyler Murray into a historically bad organization on a historically bad team in the NFL in general, and he takes that team from really bad to decent in 2 years at 8-8. That's not bad. Like he had some great moments where he beat the Bills with that the number one play in the NFL last year, the throw up to Hopkins. He beat the Seahawks in overtime on Sunday Night Football, the one where Isaiah Simmons picked off Russell Wilson in overtime and they kicked the field goal to win it. There's a lot of moments that the Cardinals have had that were great because Kyler Murray has provided an energy to the Cardinals. He has provided hope and he's provided a will for people to want to play. You saw DeAndre Hopkins and J.J. Watt willing to come to what we've considered a bottom franchise in the past because they identified a quarterback who could take them to the next level. Now, obviously, head coaching and Cliff Kingsbury, and we don't know what's going to happen there. But Kyler Murray gets hate for no reason because of things that really aren't his fault, right? He hasn't won any games yet, and he hasn't made the playoffs, so who cares? Like, he's not Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. He hasn't done these things. He hasn't had the roster to do so. But if you watch the tape, Kyler Murray is electric. He's probably the most fun quarterback to watch in the NFL right now. I'm being dead serious. Probably the most fun quarterback to watch in the NFL right now. And yet we decide, well, he was on a losing team, losing organization. Forget it. We're not going to give him any credit for what he's done. This man won Rookie of the Year. This man threw a pass on the greatest play of the NFL last year. Like, put some respect on Kyler Murray's name. Okay? Am I going to call him a top 10 quarterback? It's debatable, right? And that's up to you to decide like that. Me personally, on my list, he's probably like number 10, 11, or 12. Right? And that's really only because I liked his first 8 games of last season and I don't like his last 8 games. And like I said, I live in Arizona, so I watched every Cardinals game. So I have some ground on like how I view Kyler Murray. And I feel like I view Kyler Murray pretty fairly. Like, I'm kind of biased towards Kyler Murray in the sense that like I'm a huge fan of his, but I also feel like I grade him pretty fairly, right? Like, I'm not one of those Cardinals fans that's like, oh, he's guaranteed at least top 8. No. You're saying that as a Cardinals fan, which is okay to do. That's perfectly okay. I'm not saying you can't do that. But realistically, I think he's 11 or 12, and he will put himself into, I'm thinking, the top 6 conversation by the end of the 2021-2022 season. But we'll see. Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott gets a lot of hate simply because of the logo on his helmet. I've come to recognize that I didn't like Tony Romo, not because I didn't think Tony Romo was good. I didn't like Tony Romo because of the logo on his helmet, and I didn't know it at the time. But when I went back and when the NFL posted some highlights for Tony Romo's birthday, I saw just how good he was. And I understand those are highlights and those are supposed to be your best plays, but man, Tony Romo was a really, really good quarterback. And the NFL acted like he wasn't. And I really think it's because of the logo that was on his helmet. And Dak Prescott is having the same thing happen to him. Take off the logo. Take off the name Dak Prescott, actually. Don't even think about the fact he's Dak Prescott. Watch film of it, though, and ignore the fact you're watching the Cowboys. And Dak Prescott reminds me a lot of Russell Wilson, like a taller Russell Wilson. He has a similar play style. He's mobile. He has a good arm. He's very accurate. And he makes some good decisions. Dak Prescott, overall, has top 5 potential. And he showed that in the first 4 games. The reason why he showed that potential in the first 4 games was because he was catching up with his defense. Not because he needed to perform at that level, but because his defense was like, yo, we're going to give up 40 points, and unless you score 45 points, we're going to lose the game. So, and then there was that really amazing comeback that Dak Prescott and the offense had against the Falcons, which I get it. Falcons, choke job, whatever. But Dak Prescott gets a lot of hate for a guy who plays really well, and for a guy who, under the radar, could easily be in the top 5 conversation by the end of this year. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. He's probably number 8 or number 9 on my list right now. I haven't really made a quarterbacks ranking list. It's not my thing, but that's probably where I'd put him. I know, like, for sure, my top 5 would probably be something along the lines of, like, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. Not in, like, that particular order, but just basing it off of last year, that's probably where it would be. I've seen rankings that have, like, Justin Herbert, like, at number 6, and I'm like, yo, he had one rookie season that was really good. Like, chill out. Like, there's something to be said for veteranship as well. So, and then let's talk about the ones that, like, aren't Dak Prescott or Kyler Murray, like these guys who are electric, these guys who are good. Let's talk about the quarterbacks that are, I think most of the NFL fan base views as average, and it turns out they're actually better than you think. They're good quarterbacks. I'm talking about the Derek Carrs, the Ryan Tannehills, the Andy Dalton would not be in that conversation. Let's just go with Ryan Tannehill and Derek Carr of the world for now, and maybe as I'm thinking of more, I'll bring these quarterbacks. Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford's another one too. Oh my goodness, Matt Stafford is just underrated. Matt Stafford's going to show you why he's been a top 10 quarterback his entire career, and he was just a product of a losing organization with a losing mentality. Bet money on it. Anyway, so yeah, Matt Stafford's, Ryan Tannehill's, Derek Carr's of the world. These quarterbacks are quarterbacks that perform pretty well every year. I don't think they're going to be the reason that you win a Super Bowl. I don't think these quarterbacks are going to be the reason that your team gets taken to the next level. But these are quarterbacks who perform at a serviceable level. I mean, the Titans just, recently went to the AFC Championship 2 years ago, and then they were in the AFC Divisional against Baltimore. They beat Baltimore, and then they lost to Baltimore. But, like, the point is that they've consistently been a team that beats higher AFC teams, and Ryan Tannehill's the quarterback, and he plays well. He doesn't have to play amazingly. He doesn't have to be electric like Kyler Murray. He doesn't have to have the intangibles of Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson. He doesn't have to be elite like Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes. He's just a solid quarterback who plays well. And their number 1 player is Derrick Henry, and their number 2 player is probably A.J. Brown. And, well, Julio Jones is in the picture now, but, like, at the time, those were their number 1 and number 2 offensive pieces. And that's fine. When you have a quarterback who can complement that, that's fine. These are good quarterbacks. But we still want to trash on Ryan Tannehill anyway. Derek Carr probably gets the most hate of these kind of quarterbacks because Derek Carr has consistently been on a losing franchise and probably has the most losses of all these quarterbacks. I'm going to tell you right now, you need to remember a time when the year Derek Carr tore his ACL and he took the team to a 12-4 record. That's the kind of quarterback Derek Carr's actually been this whole time. You look at the stats of that 12-4 season, okay? He's had very similar stats the last 4 years. He hasn't changed. Derek Carr hasn't changed. He was always a good quarterback. He's just never the quarterback that's going to win the game for you, right? He's never the quarterback that's going to take you to the next level. But he's a good quarterback where if you put a team around him, put a running back, put a wide receiver, put a team around him, yeah, he's a good enough quarterback to go win you a Super Bowl. I just don't understand the mentality that we have against quarterbacks as a whole. It doesn't make sense to me, and I want to end this video with saying that me personally, I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan. I'm always going to defend him, right? That's just in my nature, right there. It's in my nature. But just because I love Lamar Jackson doesn't mean I'm going to go hate Kyler Murray, because Kyler Murray is a similar style of quarterback. Kyler Murray's a little better at throwing the ball. Ravens fans, don't hate me for saying that. He is a little bit better at throwing the ball. But I'm not going to hate him because Lamar Jackson has shown to be better than Kyler Murray at the moment, right? I'm not going to be like, you know what, Kyler Murray sucks because he's not as good as my quarterback. Kyler Murray has the potential to be better. He has the potential to be the number 1 quarterback. Whether he reaches that potential, I have no idea. Right? There is a possibility where we talk about Kyler Murray as the number 1 quarterback in the NFL at some point in his career. Whether that happens, who knows, right? But he has that potential. So does Lamar Jackson. Aaron Rodgers has been that way. Patrick Mahomes has been that way for the last 3 years. They've reached their potential, right? Just Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson haven't. Dak Prescott and Baker Mayfield, I can't say that they're ever going to be number 1 or number 2, but these are guys that have potential to always be in the top 5 to top 8 conversation all the time, right? And I don't know why we gotta hate these guys. I don't know why we need even the number 16 to number 24 quarterbacks like the Derek Carrs and the Ryan Tannehills. I don't get in the Matt Staffords. Andy Dalton is probably in the bottom 7. He's not a horrible quarterback. Remember a time when Andy Dalton was the prime meridian? Like, it was, if you have a quarterback better than Andy Dalton, you're good. If you have a quarterback worse than Andy Dalton, you need a new quarterback. And if you have Andy Dalton, well, you have Andy Dalton. He's currently bottom 7, not because he's gotten worse. I don't really think he's gotten worse as a quarterback. It's because everybody's gotten better. The young talent coming in is just better. And why aren't we appreciating this? Why aren't we appreciating the greatness of Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady? Why aren't we looking at Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, and Patrick Mahomes with amazement? I don't know. I'm sick of the negativity. I'm sick of us just trashing on each other's quarterbacks. If you want to debate whether Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson is better, if you want to debate whether Dak Prescott or Baker Mayfield is better, or the original thing that made me make this video, if you want to debate whether Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray is better, you are more than welcome to do that. Just don't put the other quarterback down as you're doing it. Notice how when I said Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray have the ability to be the number 1 quarterback at some point in their career, and I said Dak and Baker I don't think have that potential, I still said Dak and Baker can have the potential to always be in the top 5, top 8 conversation. They always will have that ability to be up there. I didn't put Dak Prescott and Baker Mayfield down when I spoke more higher of Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray. Why? Because I'm not going to feed into that negativity. There is an ability to be able to talk about a quarterback, why you think one is better than the other, right? Without saying that the other one is trash, right? So, end rant. Long video, my bad. 22 minutes, but hey. I hope we all have some more positivity out there. I hope this was some cool Head Couch Analyst content for you guys. We'll probably have a bigger conversation about this between Pardue and I when it comes to quarterbacks, because I think this is a really interesting topic. However, if you have any feedback and you want to talk about this, let me know. Put it in the comment section. Add us on Twitter or whatever. I would love for this to be a conversation that we start to get going on NFL Twitter, because I really think we need to spread more positivity and start appreciating quarterbacks more often. And I'm sure some people are going to poke holes in this video, but honestly, you know what? Like I said, if you want to argue someone's better than another quarterback, that's fine. I'm okay with that. Just don't put the other quarterback down when you're trying to do it. Okay? It's really, really easy to say, you know what? Josh Allen is better than Lamar Jackson. But hey, Lamar Jackson is easily top 8 right now. How hard is that? How hard is that to say Josh Allen is better than Lamar Jackson at the moment, but Lamar Jackson is still a top 8 quarterback who can beat anybody at any given day? That's not that hard. Really not that hard. It's as easy as saying that, right? So, yeah. You all have a wonderful day, and we'll see you the next time around.